So myself, Bhupesh Anand, I'm a qualified chartered accountant. I'm a qualified cost accountant, CMA, CS. I did so many different courses from American and European degrees. My hobby is just to study and to teach. I'm teaching in 30 countries, all, in Hindi and English lectures. So today we are with, we have Brian Hock, sir. So very great morning, sir. We congratulate you and we introduce you. We welcome you. Please have some 1 or 2 words for you, sir.
Well, thanks very much. It's a pleasure and honor to be with you. This is something that, like you, I've been doing for a long time. I've been 25 years since I started my company, and I was involved in training before that. And so there's just so many different certifications out there. It's important that every individual chooses the certification that will help them achieve what they want to do in their career. And I know sometimes people think, oh, my friend is doing this, my colleagues are studying for certain certification. And just because your friends are, just because your colleagues are, doesn't mean that's the certification that you need to study for, that you need in your career. And so I always like talking with people and helping make certain that they have the right certification for what they want to do.
Great, sir. That is a very nice idea, Basically, this is a closed group so that we can give a brief, one-to-one and correct decision so that the students can make a correct decision. So my first question to you will be, sir, or which we want to discuss is, what should be the preparations or who should do CMA USA? Because the student is wondering now, there are different courses available specifically after COVID scenario and after Mr. Trump is becoming vice president again, and the relations are very good, America and India. So there are huge ample of opportunities nowadays. Students are watching and they are a bit confused. So please put some light on this, that what should be the guiding principle?
Well, the real guiding principle for choosing a certification is 2 or 3 years in the future. It's not what you're doing right now in your job, but it's what you want to be doing 2 years in the future, 3 years in the future, because it's going to take time to get your certification. It's not something that happens quickly. And so you need to look at what is the job that you want to have, what is the position you want to have 2, 3, 4 years in the future. And then either what is the certification that is required for that position? Maybe there is one. Maybe there is some kind of industry expectation. Or what are the skills you need to learn? And then what is the certification that will provide you with those skills? So for CMA to me is perhaps the best certification in the world for people that are just beginning their career or just moving into and want to go into accounting or finance. CMA is not a specialist certification. There are a lot of specialist certifications that when you get into treasury or when you become a controller or when you get into internal audit or fraud or something like that. But CMA is a wonderful foundation that opens up a lot of doors. If you want to go into accounting or finance, anything in business, really, if you want to be an entrepreneur, CMA is the ideal certification for somebody who's an entrepreneur. And so if you're early in your career and you don't know what area of specialty you want to go into, but you like accounting or you like finance, CMA is what I would most likely recommend for you. Because it's 2 exams, you're able to do it in 12, 24 months, depending on how quickly you study and how dedicated you are to it, and if you're working or not working. But what CMA will do is it will allow you to get a job in an accounting department or a finance department. Get that first job, work for a couple of years, and then you'll start to see a direction that your career is going. Are you going into an internal audit? Are you going into finance? Are you going into accounting or controller or whatever it is? Then after a few years, you may need another certification that is more specific to what it is that you want to do or what it is that your career is moving towards. But CMA is a very, very good general first certificate for most people that want to get into business.
You have given a very, very fine and very good advice, in regard to CMA USA, that it is not just only this course. Along with that, after 2-3 years, you can also think of another course.
Right.
And in which you are more, inclined towards. Let it be internal control, let it be internal audit, let it be finance, let it be more accounts, let it be more audit. So it is a helicopter pad, like, firstly you land here and then you can take another airplane after 2-3 years. Very great, very great. Sir, you told you in your right now, you said that in the very early stage. So when I say early stage, it will mean along with the graduation, after 12th, or after graduation. So just clarify this. What do you mean by early stage?
Well, early stages are the first few years of your work life. I know that a lot of candidates try to get a certification while they're still at university, and that's great. That's a great start, but you're still early in your career. And so you have to get a couple of years experience to actually get the certification. And so CMA is those first 2, 3, 4 years of your career where you're establishing what you need to know. And the thing is about a certification is everyone wants to get a certification, where most people do, and that's wonderful. And certifications play a great role. But we need to remember it's not actually the letters after our name that our companies hire. It's the knowledge and the skills that we have.
It is a real knowledge. Yes.
What you need to match is what is covered in the certification with what you want to do. And so if you want to go into investment banking, then CFA is what you need. But if you don't want to go into investment banking, CFA isn't going to give you the skills you need to work in the accounting department. And so it's a matter of making certain that what you're learning in the certification is what you're going to need on the job. A lot of times people ask, if I become a CMA, am I guaranteed to get a job? Well, this is kind of the wrong question. First of all, no certification can guarantee that you will get a job because you still have to go through an interview process. You still have to communicate with people. Getting a certification will help you get that interview. Okay? It might be a requirement to get the interview. But if you are CMA, CPA, CIA, CFA, ESG, ACCA, CMA, Indian Chartered Accountant, if you have every certification in the world and you show up at work on the first day and you can't do what they want you to do, you're not going to be employed for very long. So the question we should be asking isn't, will this certification get me a job? The question we need to ask is, will this certification allow me to keep my job for a long time?
Very right. Very right.
And in order for you to keep your job, you need to have the skills, the knowledge, the tools to do what the company is asking you to do. Now, the certification is a very easy way to demonstrate to the company the skills and the knowledge that you have. But just having the certification isn't the guarantee to success in your career. You have to understand what you've learned, be able to apply it to the work environment, and add value to your employer. If you're able to add value to your employer, you will have a job forever. Because that's what they're looking for. Somebody who's able to perform the job. The certification helps you show that you have those knowledge and skills. Helps you get that interview, and it might help you get the job. But just having a certification by itself will not help you keep your job. You actually need to be able to perform and demonstrate you know how to use what it is you learned in your certification.
Very, very genuine advice, sir. You have given a very genuine advice because right now, I am from Delhi and most of the institutes in the Delhi, they are more focusing towards that if you do CMA, we will get you a job. And right now, you have enlightened that it is not that, you are doing CMA just for a job. It is for the knowledge. And you have to explain that and you have to show that. Then only you can stick to that employer. Very nice. Very right. Very nice. So as in CMA USA, there are two parts, part 1 and part 2, and both six sections, 6 core sections here and 6 core sections in this. So I want that you just give us a brief strategy in regard to how a student should prepare for CMA USA part 1 and part 2. What should be the strategy as per you?
Well, in terms of which part you should take first, it doesn't matter. They don't really build off each other, so you can take part 2 first if you want to. The way that I tell people to choose which part to study first, well, first of all, if you're signing up with the provider, if they're studying with you and your part 2 class starts next, well, study part 2. Okay. Study what it is that's next. But from a personal standpoint, the question really comes down to which part do you think you will do better on?
Sir,
If
sir,
you
sir,
like
just-
accounting,
so yeah, sir, just I am taking a minute. In this, generally, because I am teaching for part one and part two both, and we are selling in different countries. I generally recommend to the students who are doing graduation in the 5th or 6th semester, because that financial management they have covered. They have covered the management accounting part. So I generally recommend that they should go for firstly part two if they are in 5th or 6th semester, because it will match the education, and it will, the same syllabus is there. And if you have done a little bit, yeah,
as I said,
graduate.
look at the two parts, determine which part you think will be easier for you, and start with that part. And that may be based on what you've just studied. It may be based on what your experience is. It may be based on what you enjoy more. But I always recommend start with the part that you think will be easier for you, and then leave the second part, whether that's part one or part two, do the other part afterward.
So, but in part two, just give us some direction in this, that in part two there are less learning outcomes as compared to part one. There is a difference of 100 learning outcomes.
Part two is a little bit shorter. That is true. I personally think that part two, section B, is the most difficult, the most challenging individual section, partially because it covers so much. And it's only 20% of the exam, I think. And so the percentage of the exam and the number of pages aren't exactly perfectly aligned. And I think also part two, section B gets into the more technical topics of derivatives and things like that. And I think that's probably the individual section that a lot of people have the most trouble with. Also, people don't like internal controls. That's a topic that a lot of candidates don't like. And I think the reason for that is that there's no numbers. There's no formula. I can't prove the answer. The question is, what should we do, or what should be done? And so there's no calculation. We can't add these numbers and multiply these numbers and get the correct answer. And so for internal controls, and as a kind of strategy for it, is some of the topics take time. You need to just kind of let your mind work through it. And so what I recommend with internal controls is, don't say, I'm going to spend 10 hours on Saturday and study internal controls and learn everything. That won't work. You need to study a couple hours, do some questions, let that just kind of percolate in your mind a little bit as you understand how IMA thinks duties should be segregated and the terms and how they're used. And so this is something that we can't rush. People always ask, what's the shortcut? How do I reduce the study time? There is no shortcut. We have a syllabus. You have to know what's on the syllabus. Now, if you have 20 years of experience and you already know everything about budgeting and overhead allocation, then yes, your study time will be shorter, but it's shorter because you've already studied it in the past. You've already made that investment of time to learn those things. And so there's a syllabus. You need to know what's on that syllabus. And the only shortcut is you already knew it before you started studying.
Great. So,
You have to take time.
in my internal control, as per my views, I generally touch the real case studies. For example, how internal control is in the big mall, or how it can be, in a jeweler shop, Kalyan Jewelers, or how it can be possible in different food malls. So if you relate with real case studies, you will be able to understand that, and that theory part you can easily create it as a practical one.
Yep, making it real, and especially the stories that are current that people understand or read about right now, tying that into what is the topic. Because one of the things about the CMA exam that is one of the reasons I like it so much is that everything on the CMA exam is practical. It's something that when you go to work, either the company you work for already does, or they should be doing it. And I understand that in your job in the first few years of your career, you will not be doing everything that's on CMA. Okay, it covers too much from what it is that a business does. But if you're able to go into your employment and very early demonstrate to your boss and the people above you that not only can you do your job, but you understand how your job fits into the larger organization, you will be successful. If you're able to understand that this is what I do, and this is where I send the report, this is where I send my information, this is what they do with it, and why they do that, and why that's important. If you're able to answer the question, why are you doing this? Why are they doing that? Why does the company do it this way? You will be successful, because when you start, your entry job is very narrow in terms of what you do. As you work the organization, you have to be able to understand and synthesize, bring together a much wider part of the organization. And so if you look at the CEO and the CFO, their area of responsibility is the entire company and everything that the company does. When you start, you're in charge of fixed assets or fixed asset acquisitions or a certain type of fixed asset. So as you go up, your scope runs, and you need to be able to demonstrate to your boss that you can do that. You understand what is next, what the next step up is in the organization. And so everything on the CMA exam is what a company does. And a lot of other exams, there's no tax on the CMA exam, which that's a specialty all by itself. But if you're taking a certification where you spend a lot of time learning tax or external audit, those are things you're not going to do in your career. And so that makes it harder to study for those things. Now, obviously, if you're an auditor, you need to study audit. But when you're studying topics for the exam that are not relevant to your job, it becomes a lot harder to study that, because it's just memorization.
Yeah. Just
I mean, if I were to take a course on Indian taxation, I would just have to memorize everything. I don't have any exposure to it. I don't have any background in it. I've never filled out a personal tax return. And so that just becomes a memorization exercise. But when the topics are things that you know your company does, and you're able to connect to it, it becomes a much easier study process, and all of what you're studying are things that you're going to be able to use at your job.
You're very right. As in mathematics, we used to learn that a plus b whole square, a square plus b square plus 2ab. Up to this lifetime, I have not used anywhere a plus b whole square. And I have not used Pythagoras theorem, a square plus b square equals c square. I have not used anywhere. So, and I spent so much time in understanding and learning and all that concepts. And specifically, if I say CMA USA, they have included those 12 sections which are specifically for the employer oriented. We have huge number of students from Brazil who are already MBA, they are already MBA, but their employer have told them that please do CMA USA. And they are doing CMA USA because they are basically from India. So they understand Hindi and English. So they have purchased our lectures. And we have huge number of students from Middle East. Yeah.
I always say I'm not a huge math person, but what CMA does is what I call its business math. Yes, there is math, overhead allocation, break-even point. There is math, but you're right. It's not y squared plus 2x minus 3z. It's nothing like that. It's not this abstract math. We're actually coming up with a number that we're going to use in some way, and so it's practical business mathematics that we need to know. And calculus, there's no sine and cosine and things like that on the CMA exam.
Very good, sir. Sir, specifically after post-COVID scenario, if you see, and after these wars, we see the lifespan is very shorter. There is so huge uncertainty. And we should do a particular course which should give, which should have a lower payback period. It should give more ROI. It should give more ROT, return on time, return on investment. Because nowadays people are so much uncertain. They want returns fast. So to my mind, this course is value added, and it will be helping them in getting that return on investment. Yeah, as well, like
I mean, it's good that you mentioned time, because one of the ways I look at CMA in terms of measuring the return on investment of it is the time of it. Even if you spend 2 years studying and maybe only 12 months studying, but whatever time you spend studying, it's going to be a benefit the rest of your career, which might be 30 years. And so anytime you have the opportunity to invest 1 year or 2 years and get a 30-year return, that's a great return.
Yeah, we spent 3 years, sometimes 4 years for getting that graduation degree. 4 years, nowadays 4 years, and we are just getting a one degree, one course, and it has no value. If a student do along with that, it will be a holistic approach, and he can increase the profile, he can increase the LinkedIn profile, and he can do wonders.
Well, if you study CMA while you're still at university, there's almost no time invested because you're studying at university at that time. And so you're essentially just using your study time to study two things at once.
And syllabus is same, sir. In India, in all the universities I have seen, because we have students from different parts of the India as well, the syllabus is 60 to 70% same in CMA USA Part 1 and Part 2. So they can easily do along with the graduation. If they are doing along with graduation, that is a positive point. They can clear in first attempt. There is no need to pay again and again examination fees to the INMI. Only first time they have to pay. Don't need to pay in dollars. Why we should pay again and again dollars? So it is just the sincerity if they can combine along with the graduation.
CMA as an exam is difficult, but we want it to be difficult. It should be difficult. If it was easy, anybody could pass and it has no value. So while CMA is difficult, the thing to remember is that it is possible. CMA provides a very detailed syllabus, so we know what's on the exam. And you and I have been working for 20 years on this. We know what's on the exam. We know how it's tested. We know how it's taught. And so it's difficult, but we need to keep in mind that the pass rate for the world or for a country, whatever pass rate we're looking at, includes people who are not properly prepared. And if you are not properly prepared, your pass rate is 0. You don't accidentally pass a professional certification exam. You have to be very intentional about it. And so there's no way to do this, but if we could take out people who just were not prepared and consider only the people who studied seriously and prepared properly, the pass rate's probably 90 or 95%.
It means if we take that population, not the total population, if we segregate that population into two parts, that those who are male, who have done some hard work and who are interested, if we take their percentage, that is 90 to 95%. It means,
Yep.
and because I'm an Indian, I will say Indians are more hardworking, they are more focus-oriented, customer or concept-oriented. The past percentage of India is more as compared to other continents. I have seen that.
Well, and it's something that the good news is the candidate 100% controls if they're going to pass the exam. If they study with me and you, okay, they attend your classes, they get our materials, the candidate has everything that they need to pass. The only decision, the only choice that a candidate has to make yet is whether or not they're going to take advantage of that. And so I can provide a great textbook and test bank and materials, and you can provide the best lectures ever. But if the candidate doesn't take advantage of that, doesn't come to the classes, doesn't read the book, doesn't practice, they're going to fail. But each candidate has the ability to take advantage of the materials in your classes. Each candidate is able to say, this is what I'm going to do. This is serious to me. This is important to me. I'm going to pass. And so as a candidate, once you've decided you're going to study any certification, but we're talking about CMA here, you need to make a study plan. When you're going to study each day during the week. And the thing to keep in mind is that you make this study plan not for the hours that you're studying, but for all of the other hours of the week. Okay, there are 24 hours in a day, and there's 7 days in a week. So I'll do the math here. So we have 168 hours during the week. And let's pretend you study 20 of them. Okay, that leaves you 148 other hours that you're not studying. And here's the thing. Once you've decided to study, you no longer have a question of free time. Because every day when you wake up and you think, what can I do today? You say, well, I should study. I could study. You come home from work. You come home from class. You come home from wherever. You sit down and you think, well, there's the cricket match on TV, or I could study. So studying is always with you. It's always a choice. And if you don't have a study schedule, it's just always on your mind. Whatever you're doing, you think, oh, I could be studying. Maybe I should be studying now. I should be studying now. But if you make a schedule and you say, I'm going to study 3 hours on Monday night, 3 hours on Tuesday night, 3 hours on Thursday night, and 5 hours on Saturday morning, whatever the time schedule is, it doesn't matter. It means that on Wednesday night, the cricket match is on TV. Watch it. Enjoy it. That's not your study time. You've already made your study plan. You know that Monday night, no cricket. Tuesday night, no cricket. Thursday night, no cricket. Wednesday night, do whatever you want.
Very good. It means
Saturday morning, you study your 5 hours, you're done. Do whatever you want the rest of the day. So the study schedule isn't for the 20 hours you're going to study.
it is for the
The
total.
study schedule is to allow you to enjoy the other 148 hours of the week.
Great.
So make a study schedule. And I know you're going to study for 9 months. There's going to be a week or a lot of weeks where you can't follow your study schedule. But if you know, oh, Monday is my best friend's birthday and we're going to go out to celebrate. So next week, instead of studying on Monday, I'm going to study on Wednesday.
It means it can be, fixed.
Yeah, you just change it. And you have your calendar. You just move it in your calendar. But as long as you make those blocks of when you're going to study, you can enjoy all of the other hours of your week without having to think, oh, I should be studying right now. No, you shouldn't. It's not your study time.
Great.
Enjoy those times when you're not.
On the planning, last 5 minutes, you have more talked about planning, that you have to plan, you have to prepare the timetable as we do in school times. As we do in that, we prepare a timetable that morning this period, then this, then this. So it will help you in diary, It means a person, a very beautiful saying. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail.
I mean, just think about this. Every day, well, maybe not every day, we make a to-do list. The company's plan, everything we do, we have a plan. We have an approach. And so studying is going to take you hundreds of hours. Why would we not make a plan for something that's going to take hundreds and hundreds of hours? It makes no sense not to have that study schedule. And so make that study schedule so you know when you're going to study, and more importantly, you know when you are not studying. And you can watch the cricket, you can go to the movies, you can spend time with your family, your friends, whatever you want to do. But after you've decided whatever exam you're taking, make a study plan and make certain to take advantage of the resources you have available. Whether you pass or fail is up to you. You have all the tools you need. If you have Mr. Bhupesh's classes, you're good. You have our materials, you're good. You have everything you need. We can't make you study, though. You have to make the decision that you are going to study, that this is important to you. And if you go to every lecture, watch it live if you're able to. If you ask questions when you don't understand something, you will pass your exam. But if you don't study seriously, you're not. But I can tell you right now, if you're not ready to study seriously, please do not start. You're wasting your time.
And money both. Yeah. You are wasting your time and money both. Yeah.
Yep.
Sir,
No need to do that.
In the YouTube, and in Insta and in Telegram, we are getting some, some comments like that. We are trying to focus, but we are not able to focus more. They are more into screen time. They are more into Instagram. So how you can write that they can reduce their screen time? They are so much habitual, and even if they want to be focused, sometimes there is a trade-off between screen time and studies. Just give guidance.
Part of it is a question of priority. And each candidate has to determine what their priority is. And if your priority is Instagram, well, then enjoy Instagram. Have fun and enjoy it. Learn nothing, do nothing, don't move forward in your life. But you can sit there and spend the evening on Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is these days. And so when people tell me, oh, well, the videos have to be 2 minutes or shorter. The whole world is not a 2-minute world. Your world and your work career is not a 2 minute by 2 minutes. There are things that take longer. And so one of the things I kind of to this point is ask candidates, why are you studying CMA? Why are you doing it? And if there's no answer to that question, don't start. If your answer is, I want more money, I want a job, I want a promotion, I want to move, and you know why you are doing CMA, every time you start watching Instagram, ask yourself, is this going to give me more money, a job, a promotion? Because that's what CMA will do. So you need to determine as a candidate what your priorities are. And if your priorities are not CMA, that's fine. That's okay. Don't start studying. Wait until you understand what it is you're doing and why you need to do it. Then you can start studying, and then you will be successful. And if you know why you are doing it, you won't spend your time on Instagram, because you know that your internal priority is to pass this exam.
Yeah.
So it's a question of priority. And this is when people say, oh, I don't have time. Did you watch TV this week? I did. Well, you had time. You just chose to watch TV instead of study, exercise, do whatever else it is that you said you didn't have time to do. We all, I mean, if you look at it, there's 168 hours in the week. If you do 20 hours a week, that's 3 hours a day. You still have 21 hours in a day. Take out sleep, work. You have time to study and also do other things in your life. A lot of times I think people think I either have to study or do everything else. Well, you can do more than one thing. You can study and still spend time on Instagram. Just don't spend 3 hours on Instagram. Spend 15 minutes on it.
You have to reduce that screen time. Yeah.
It's just a question of what's most important to you.
Priority for you. Yeah.
If Instagram is more important, then hey, that's your choice. We can't do anything about that. When CMA is important to you, come back to us and we will absolutely be ready to help you pass your exam.
Great. Sir, in this, to the students, we are giving, because we are the learning partner of Hock, we are giving you material as well as my lectures. So just give us an idea that what are the special features, in case of Hock as compared to other. I will not name them as compared to other. What are the because I studied all that other material also.
Yeah.
I like the Hock only because it has more extensive coverage. It has more, explanatory. It is more conceptual clarity. It has more examples. It has more real life case studies. So just from your mouth, that what are the other features of Hock?
I agree with you. I mean, you kind of listed it. What we're known for, and I think what's very important is we provide more detail in the textbook and what we learn. And I understand that if you've been doing budgeting for 15 years in your career, you don't need to read our budgeting book because you already know all of that. But if you've been spending all of your career in budgeting, well, then there's another part, corporate finance, you don't know anything about. And so you need that detail. We try to start kind of one step earlier to provide a little bit more foundation.
You're giving grassroots level concepts.
What this means is you start by watching the lecture, attending the lecture, Mr. Bhupesh's lecture, then do the practice questions for that topic. And then if there's something in the practice questions you didn't understand, go to the textbook. And that textbook will provide all of that detail that you need to fill in whatever gaps are missing or whatever you didn't get the first time. And so by being able to sort questions by topics as we have it all sorted out, you're able to be focused in what it is that you're studying. And we also have, I believe, better answer explanations in terms of why the correct answer is correct and also why the incorrect answer is incorrect. Because sometimes that's just as important. You got the wrong answer, but you need to know why.
Why?
And so our answer explanations tell you, well, you multiplied instead of divided, or you used this number instead of that number, or whatever the case may be. And so what we're doing is making certain that you understand the concept. I'm not a big believer in mnemonic devices where you just memorize 5 keywords, because it's not only do you need to know what those 5 key words are, but you need to know why those words are the key words. What do those words actually represent and what do those words mean? And this comes back to what I was saying earlier about you want to be able to keep your job. If you passed your exam only by getting lucky, and memorizing a few keywords and guessing correctly, you're going to have trouble when you go to work because you're not going to be able to do all of the things that they expect you to be able to do. So in the study process, not only are you wanting to pass your exam, you need to learn the concepts and be able to apply those concepts so that when you get your job, you do your job very well.
Very good, very good. Because that material is, your material is very supporting material. And before recording my lectures, I read all the different authors along with you. And finally, I decided that I should go for Hock only because it is. There are so many concepts which I am not aware, but after studying that, I got that the whole concept of that whole picture, whole idea, it is just like a Wikipedia. It is more than Wikipedia. For CMA USA, if you talk of CMA USA, Hock is more than Wikipedia, I will say. So, sir, the last question which I am wondering is, we have huge number of students. But the point is, they are lagging to give the examination. They are postponing the examination. So what in that aspect, how we can, manage them, how we can motivate them? We have huge number of students. I will not speak the number. We are huge. I will say it is in 3 figures. It is round about to 3 figures. But the point is, they are postponing their examination. So I think you're getting my point.
I think a lot of people are letting perfection get in the way of progress. And by that, I mean, you're never going to be 100% prepared for every question on the exam. There's going to be, if I went and took the exam today, I would not get 100%.
Yeah. Same here.
I would read a question incorrectly or overlook a word in a question. You're never going to be 100% prepared. So don't try for it. Don't wait for it. We have mock exams. If you get 75% on the mock exams or 70%, but you feel comfortable, you're okay. Go take the exam. It's not 100% isn't the score. That's not your goal. And I say, kind of using a topic, passing is 360. Okay. Yeah. That's your goal. 370 is okay. 380, that's fine. You had a little margin of error. 400, you started to study too much. 420, you really studied too much. 440, 450, you need a hobby. Okay, you need to do something else. You studied way too much for this exam. Now, I'm not saying that you don't want to study and you don't want a good score, but 360 is passing. Anything over 360, you didn't need. Okay, your CMA certificate doesn't have your score on it.
Very good, very good.
It doesn't say Brian just barely passed. He had the minimum score, so he's not the best CMA out there. No, you either pass or you didn't. And so don't let perfection get in the way of progress. And this is something not only for studying, this is for your career.
Yeah.
You need to write a report. You need to prepare a presentation. Okay, yes, we want it to be good. We want it to be excellent. But at some point, you have to say, there's a law of diminishing returns.
Yes. There's no perfection. There's no perfection.
Strive for perfection. Because if all you do is wait for perfection, you're never going to go anywhere.
You will lose so many opportunities, sir.
Yep.
You will be losing your time. You will be losing so many things. And then that guilt will coming in your mind that I have not given this, I have not given this. That guilt will be, forcing you to not to go for the examination.
I mean, if you're in your career and you want to do CMA or professional certification, the best time for you to start that professional certification, to start studying, is 2 years ago. Because if you started 2 years ago, you would be done now. But you didn't start 2 years ago. So you have a choice. I can either start today or I can wait another 2 years. Today is the best day to start your studying. You're going to benefit the rest of your career from it. So why wait? Today is the best day to start studying. And once you're prepared, once you get that 75% on the mock exam, once you understand the concepts, once you feel that's the time to take the exam, don't wait.
Don't wait. Yeah.
Take it. Get done. Get your name. Get the letters after your name. Okay. Waiting another 6 months doesn't help anything. Making your score 400 instead of 390 doesn't help anything. You need to achieve. You need to accomplish the goal, so which means you need to do it.
Very rightly said, sir. Very rightly said. Shut the past, cut the future, be in present.
Yep.
Now put this, Very good.
Yep.
Very good, sir. So, sir, my last humble point, my question will be that just give us give some tips for the CMA, those aspirants who are just going for examination, because we have huge number of students, so they are going for examination. Just give some your experience.
Here's the best tip I can give you, and it has to do with preparing for the essay questions. Yeah. And here's how it is. So students always ask, how do you prepare for the essays? How do you prepare for the essays? And people don't like the essays. They're worried about the essays. Okay, so this is the learning outcome statements. And it's actually the old exam. I just have this next to my desk, the old syllabus. But this is the learning outcome statements. If I ask you what topics are the MCQs about, the topics in the learning outcome statements. If I ask you what topics do they test on the essay questions, the answer is the learning outcome statements. The topics that they test on the essay questions are exactly the same topics that they test on the MCQs. So how do you prepare for the essays? By studying. So I'll give you an example. One of the forms of an essay question or a problem is they give you the financial information for a company, and then they ask you to calculate 6 ratios.
Okay.
Okay, that's an essay question. Calculate the quick ratio, the cash flow ratio, the debt to equity ratio, whatever, 6 ratios. So if they ask you to calculate the quick ratio, whatever, doesn't matter, whatever ratio, they ask you to calculate the quick ratio in an essay question. They can also ask you how to calculate the quick ratio in an MCQ. The formula is the same. You calculate the same thing. So the only difference between an essay question and an MCQ is the essay question, you have to write the answer. You don't choose. Okay, so you calculate 3. If it's an MCQ and 3 is an answer, you're happy, you choose it and you move on. But you don't know when you write down 3 on the essay. You don't know if that was one of the choices. But almost every essay question, every problem could be broken down into multiple choice questions.
Very right, sir.
Now, what they do on the essay question is they say calculate these 6 ratios, and then there's another requirement that says, what do these ratios tell us? Now, that's not easily made into a multiple choice question, but if you understand, if you didn't just memorize the formula, but you understand what the quick ratio covers, then that part about what do these ratios tell us is very easy.
Very easy, yeah.
If you understand what those ratios are. If you only memorize the formulas, it's going to be a lot more difficult. But if you actually understand the content, going back to how we write the material and what we want you to do, we don't want you to just memorize the formula for the ratio. We want you to know why we calculate that ratio and why it's important. Because that's going to make that other part of that problem very easy. So as you're studying, you are studying for the MCQs and you are studying for the essays. It's the same content, the same topics. Whatever they're going to ask you about a break-even MCQ. There can be break-even in the essays. They're going to ask you about internal controls in the MCQs. They can ask about internal controls in the essays. So you're studying for both the MCQs and the essays when you're studying. What you need to do for the essays is go look at the past essays that are in the software. These are the IMA released essays, so you can understand how they ask questions. The fact that it says there's 2 essays, but there's actually 8 requirements for each one. Okay, and so you need to make certain that you understand how they've asked these in the past, what types of ways they approach it. But you don't have to prepare specifically for the essays.
You're right. And Hock Test Bank is very good. They have included so many tests. Essay type also. It is just a practice, and then you will be, practice makes the man and woman both healthy, wealthy, and wise. Yeah. So
Yep.
you have given the ample, huge cumbersome or the different mixture of the questions. So it is just the intention, their passion, their priority, that which thing they want to do. And they should answer that why they are doing it. It is not just a certification. Why they are doing it? Why? What is the main purpose behind that? That is the main point which you have shared. I am very much grateful to you, sir. I am very much grateful to you. You have shared really your internal points, so that it can be helpful to the mankind. It can be helpful to all the people who are planning to go and who are planning to go for the examination, or they want to join the exam, the CMA USA. Great help great help, sir. Great help.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Same here, sir. Thanks, sir. Namaste,
Thank
sir.
you.
Namaskar,
Thank
sir.
you.
Namaskar, sir.
My pleasure.
Next quarter again, sir. We will take some of your time, and then again we will come up
Sounds
with a new
good.
project. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.